contentious thing I think we're going to deal with as a work group. And I don't want to debate it today. I want you to take it, and I want you to really get comfortable with it. Generically, what I tried to do is set forth what I see as sort of the common sins and the cardinal sins in the industry as a whole. And I will also tell you that I intend to build my compliance program around this. These are the kinds of things that generically the industry should know what they're responsible for in these different areas. And this is kind of like the dirty dozen, if you will. I think I listed the top 12. In that regard, I'm putting together what I call a licensee's handbook. And it will educate you specifically on the basic tenets of all of these kinds of things. Why we're where we're at, why we need to be where we're at, what we expect of you from a compliance and an enforcement standpoint across the board. Now, is this all-inclusive? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But one of the things we're required to do is to make a recommendation, I'm required to do is make a recommendation to the state licensing authority. And I think out of everything we're doing, this will probably be one of the more critical documents that they're going to spend time on. This is a very common process that we use in all of our different industries. And very generically, I'll just tell you that the 12 sins, if you will, selling to a non-qualified person. You'll see we put together counts. We create a recommended baseline, that's all it is, and then we have to consider mitigating and aggravating circumstances. That is something that is done in every administrative process across the board. You will always look at sort of a baseline for a violation, and then you look at whether or not it's aggravated. Did management participate in it? Is it an ongoing or repeat kind of thing, or was this a disgruntled employee who did something to the 11th hour right as he was getting fired, just for sake of argument? That's the first one, the sale to a non-qualified person. Selling after hours, a protocol in place. Same thing. If you have to quit selling at 7 o'clock, and perhaps there's a 5-minute difference in your clock, and we walk in at 2 minutes after, 5 minutes after 7, are you in violation? Technically. And I think there's a huge distinction between that violation and the person that's open at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they're not supposed to be. Again, aggravating and mitigating circumstances. Better to, go ahead.
Good question. If somebody walks in at 6:45,
The sale better be done by 7.
so the sale has to be done prior to 7 o'clock, no matter when they walk in.
That's right. That's what the law says. Failure to meet the 70-30 requirement. Tried to build in a process recognizing the significance of losing a grow. Again, mitigating and aggravating circumstances. We see that you really did have a bona fide grow. You've been consistent with your compliance. We've not had any violations or any of those kind of things. Compared to the person that reveals really little or no evidence of compliance historically. You've not had a grow. Those kind of things are aggravating circumstances and the things that an authority should take into account. Purchasing marijuana from unlicensed sources, immediately that's a go to hearing. That's a cardinal sin as far as I'm concerned in the industry. It's not what this industry is built upon here in Colorado, and we need to maintain the integrity there. Unlawful consumption or medicating on the licensed premises. Again, I built in mitigating and aggravating circumstances for it. Failure to maintain your adequate books and records to fully show what's going on. Again, with mitigating and aggravating circumstances. Violations on inspection issues detected. Again, the example, the most obvious one I give you is, gee, you didn't have your license posted, and you're required by law to have your license posted. We're going to ask you to get it up. We're going to come back in the next 30 days, and if it's not up, we're going to have an issue with it. We're seeking voluntary compliance by working with you to get the things posted, but you've got to work with us as well. Again, in aggravating and mitigating circumstances. Failure to meet the registration requirements. This is the reg that Mr. Dill drafted this morning. You can see we built in, again, aggravating and mitigating circumstances. Employing underage persons, it's a big no-no. But did the person that's come to work for you, did they misrepresent their age? Did you look at all the standard things to validate their age on the front end, or was this a backdoor kind of thing? Mitigating and aggravating circumstances. Hidden ownership. This is another one that is a cardinal sin in my book, because typically when you have a hidden ownership, you're dealing with somebody that is not otherwise qualified to hold a license, and there's a reason they're a hidden owner. They can't hold the license. Failure to meet the sanitary standards, and then lastly, failure to display your credentials, properly display your credentials. These are the limited access area rule that we just talked about. Those I can foresee sort of as the 12 probably most common that you're going to deal with. And if you come up with others, let me know, and I'm happy to work with you to try and build this into it, but Barb, go ahead.
On number 10, that apprenticeship for 30 days to transfer or to hearing, is that you have 30 days to transfer, otherwise you go to hearing, or is it either or chosen by?
We would give you 30 days to transfer depending upon the nature of it, or take it to a hearing.
Or take it to a hearing immediately?
Yes.
And
Well,
that would be at the decision of
you
the
got to
author.
understand, there's due process, you're going to get a notice, and you got 30 days to respond.
That was my question, is you definitely have 30 days, or it's relative to the